Hey, hi guys. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Hi Shiva. Good evening.
Yes,
Yes, we
Shiva.
can hear you.
Yeah.
Hi Shiva.
Hey, hi. Hi, Jack. Okay, let me wait for 2 more minutes for others to join.
Shiva, yesterday you copied the day 6 or something zip file. It's asking for password.
Okay. I'll the password I think I have already given to the WhatsApp group. Otherwise, I'll chat
What's up?
this as well.
Didn't see.
No problem. Our blog URL itself is the password for that. The Hadoop tutorial.info.
Okay, sure.
Hi, Shiva.
Hey, hi, Raj.
Did you make a group of our Spark page on WhatsApp?
Yeah, you are not there?
I don't think so.
Oh, sorry. Let me see if I missed you. Yeah, I added you, Raj. Okay. And let me see who all are there. Bhagwan, Dharmesh. These are my people.
Thanks, Shiva.
Behind this, put you a step ahead in his money saving.
Okay. 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 So let me start sharing my screen. So again, today also same problem. I mean, as I told you guys yesterday, that day before yesterday, my laptop got crashed. So I'm using this. Just let me adjust with this for today. So I don't have that PPT slides, but the PDF is there from the previous one, but it's not so good looking. But I have to adjust with this for today. Okay. I hope you guys will be fine with this. So yesterday we were discussing some of the Scala concepts, the OOPS concepts majorly. So we talked about inheritance. After that, we talked about packages, access specifiers. Okay, and so all those public, private, protected examples, and singleton objects. We thought of completing the test process also, but we couldn't. So as I already gave you heads up, let's try to target to finish Scala today. At least the building instructions through Maven or SBT, even if we get left out on that, so that should be okay. Other than that, we have to focus on completion of that. So as we were talking about the companion object concepts yesterday, so to continuation on the same topic, so let me create one more today's file. So companion objects can access your companion classes private variables, private methods also, and vice versa is also true. Meaning, companion class can access from the companion objects scope as well. So now, there is one feature in the companion objects. Let's say if I have a class person, and so inside this is nothing, and I have a object, companion object person. So there is one feature. So if you define a method called apply, okay? If you define a method called apply inside this with parameters or without parameters, that up to our wish, this makes us relief from having a new keyword for object creation. Let's say I have object test extends app. So if I want to create an object of person, so val p equal to just person of, I can give Chuck. Okay, and I will define that str string. I'll provide a method in my companion object, def apply str string. Here I will be creating the object of new person. So new person, and inside that we'll set the parameter, whatever we want to set. Okay. So if that class has some attributes, those attributes we can set it from through this. So if I'm setting the name, so ideally this should have a name as well, as we were talking. P dot name equal to str that is written. And return this P object. Okay. So if you don't have any parameters, generally that would be like you don't have to set any values. Okay. So empty argument constructor. So if you want that way, so just an object, just new person, and return that. So this way you can have any number of apply methods in your companion object. But the method name should be apply. So as long as you have this apply method inside your companion object, so there is no need of a new operator. And this makes us, most of the times, our code very readable. Let's say if I have to create an array of persons, so how will it be like if I have to create val p2 equal to, it's an array, array of or list of. If I have to create multiple person objects, how will it become like new person? Dharmesh and new person Dhruva. Okay, so new person SP. Okay, so this way I have to keep on creating. So if I have to create a list of person objects, every time I should keep giving this new everywhere. So there is a chance that if you can maintain inside your companion object, if you can write your apply method with how many ever the constructors parameters that you want. Okay. I kept you on mute, Dharmesh. Okay. So how many are constructor parameters that you want? With those many constructor parameters, you can specify here. Again, if you want to first name, comma last name, you can define. So you should have a attribute to set, of course. Okay. Otherwise, that doesn't make sense, right? First, last name. If you have this way, you can even accept 2 parameter constructors. First is string. Last is string. First and p dot last name equal to last. Okay, this way you can set and you can return. Now, if you didn't have this apply method, so far whatever the approach that we know is this one. So by new operator, we create person class object. The person object, Dharmesh person object, Dhruva person object, SP. So if you have apply method, there is a flexibility for you to no need of specifying. So this way you can specify this is a list of persons, and you can just simply specify the class name and parameters that you want to. So even code wise, readability gets improved. List of person Dharmesh, person Dhruva, person SP instead of having so many new keywords. Okay, so this is one flexibility, and most of the times we use this in real time as well. But in real time, to achieve this feature, there is even more very simple option that is using a case class. Okay, before going to case class, any question on this? So all what it does, that apply method is, it internally creates a person object, new person P. Okay, so I'll P equal to new person and P dot name equal to str, and return that P object itself. So whatever the code that you have to do, or every time you do with a new person and set that name, or you have a constructor with one argument here and you call that with new operator, the same thing that instead of having in the class as a constructor, you have those apply methods similar to your auxiliary constructors or primary constructors in the class level. You can write your different number of arguments apply methods, so that you can create a different ways of objects and without the need for new operator. So if this is clear, I'll go to the case class, where you don't even need to write your companion object. You don't need to declare all these fields in the inside class level. Of course, you have to tell it the class parameters. So we have a separate
Shiva.
special classes called
Shiva.
Yes, Dharma.
I'm not completely clear about the apply method. Let me ask a few questions before going to the case class.
Okay. Yep.
So here you have 2 objects created, right? One is person and another one is a test.
Okay. What is the difference between a test and person?
Person created with apply method. Yeah. And test is created with the extents app, right? Hello? Hello? Shiva?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, there's sudden my phone got disconnected. Okay. Yeah. So what is the difference between a person object and the
Your voice is not clear, Shiva.
Okay, let me join from this one once again.
Yeah.
Okay, let me join through my mobile once again. So let me, I have to rejoin actually.
Hello? 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 Hello?
Yeah, Shiva.
Okay. You guys can hear me, right?
Yeah, now it's clear. Thanks.
Okay. So, when the person object and test object, the person is purely companion object, and test is the one that you created to execute whatever the logic. This one we told you, right? Extends app.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, inside this apply method, so by default, this is it treats that whenever this apply method is there, and if you call a person with this jars, first it will try to find in the companion object if there is any apply method, a method with name apply only, always. So with this many number of arguments matching, here you are passing only one argument. So whatever the method that is matching with the one argument which is of type string, that method will get executed whenever you call this.
Okay.
Okay. So this is, if you call a new person, that means you are calling a class, and inside this any constructor is there, that constructor will get executed. So that's what we have tested, right?
Yeah.
So we have seen that if we run this new person, so if there is anything inside the constructor of class person, that will get executed. But what is person? So yesterday how are we accessing the person methods or person variables? Simply person dot the variable name, or person dot. Let's say if I have a var like age, okay, age equal to 30. So how will you access that? This is already an object. You don't need to create that. And var dot
person dot age.
Yeah, person dot age. You are accessing that. And similarly, if you want to call a method, if there is a method like some get salary. Okay, let's assume that if we have that method. So how are we calling that? So person dot get salary,
Yep.
right? And but unlike these regular methods, there is a special method that is called apply. So if you have to call that apply method, you don't need to specify person dot apply. You just simply specify person of and pass your apply method argument.
Okay.
So this is as good as, this is same as this operator inside your class. So whereas you had a auxiliary constructors in your class with def this. With this you had, but were you calling with this method? You're not calling this method.
Yep.
Correct? The same way. So this is equal to this apply. And the same way you don't need to call by this method name for calling this constructor. And even when we have this apply method in the person companion object, you don't need to call by that name.
Okay.
We just give this the object name and pass the parameters. Obviously this method will get called. And what it internally doing is the same thing. It's creating an object of your class and setting the value whatever you are passing. But this is abstract to you, so you don't need to worry about from your coding standard point of view. So from next time onwards, whenever you are using, so you feel like just creating without any new operator. And the advantage with a case class is you don't even need to write a companion object. The same functionality if I have to achieve, even more in simpler way. So case class.
One question before going to case class.
No, let me complete this. Okay.
Sure.
So val name or a first name. Okay. Val first string, val last, which is string. So if you declare this person, this is you're writing your case class is equivalent to writing this much in Scala itself. So whenever you provide a case prefix before your class, so that internally creates the companion object for that class with the apply method, and then it takes care of creation of your objects whenever you want to create an object of person. So without any new keyword, without your new operator, you can create this. Okay. So we could have directly discussed case classes, but what will happen behind the scenes, generally no one will write these apply methods. Okay. In reality, I just gave you so how this will get converted in the behind the scenes, or if you don't like case class, you want to go with a companion object. So this is the way that you want to go. Yep. Now go ahead, Zamesh.
So you are calling, you have another value P2 under the test class, test object, right? So you are calling, how you are getting that first name and last name? Are you getting that first name and last name? How it will relate if I want to get first name and last name?
So you create an object. That's it. You will create an object. Dharmesh Paramashivam.
Yeah.
Is you will pass this.
Okay.
Person of.
Yeah, that's where my question is. Like, if I pass the person only Dharmesh, it will execute the first part of the person.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
If I pass both, it will automatically get into the second part, first name, to get the execute the first name.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. In between, you have another apply method, right? I missed that point. Can you explain that again?
So you don't know a name for a person, but still you want to have a placeholder for that. Just declare this. Now, for Dharmesh Paramashivam, this constructor, you treat this like as good as like a constructor. Okay.
Okay.
This will get executed for Dharmesh Paramashivam. For Dhruva and for SP,
okay, I got it.
Only this will get executed. Constructor with one argument. And for this empty, constructor with 0 arguments will get executed.
Okay, all right. You are trying to cover everything in a single object, or all possible cases.
All possible cases.
Okay, so when you go with case class, when you define with the val first and the val last, will it take care of the empty person as well?
No, that I wanted to tell that.
Okay.
That will not take care. You have to give empty values.
Okay.
You have to pass it.
Okay.
This will also create empty object only, but empty values you have to pass.
And for last name, Dhruva and SP?
Yes, of course. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, now it's clear. 100%.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. But usage of case classes is so popular in Scala everywhere, because this reduces. Whereas in Java, if you have to write the same POJOs, you have to write at least even for 2 fields, you have to write at least 23 lines. But whereas if you want to write here, it's very simple one. Okay, so if you want to try this out, just directly try them out in the Scala shell itself, because these are simple.
Sorry, Siva, I'm still catching up. That's why I'm trying to take advantage of your brain.
I didn't get.
I'm still catching up all these logics. That's why I'm trying to go line by line and.
No problem. No problem. I'm there to explain you all the line by line only, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. What's the big deal in that? I'm here to make things clear only. It's not like just for the sake of taking session and just for the sake of, I can't say done, right?
Yeah, true.
So after the end of the course, at least you should get minimum satisfaction. So if it gets late, no problem. I don't have any issues. You guys should show your determination that to extend beyond your 2 hours. That's it.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah. I don't have any issues in extending. Okay. So yeah. So that's all with companion object with apply methods advantage. Let me run this at least one so that you guys can see this. Okay. So either I can run it in program or run it in shell. Let me run this. So last name. Okay. Problem. Okay. I'll run it in Eclipse only. So these 2 are not my interest. So all these class names were repeated so many places. Let me take that name. Okay. And object person2 also. I'll create val person2 and name this. And again, same val p equal to new person2 and val p equal to new person2. Okay. So all the errors are gone now. Just I need to make use of this. Okay. So if I have, as long as I have that companion object, I don't need to worry about this. No. So I'm calling this with the help of the companion object. So I also have a case class person. So if I want to create the same list with case class, same thing. Let's say P3 person of Dharmesh, Paramashivam, and this. So it's accepting. If you can see this, it itself tells you that not enough arguments for method apply, because this internally creates a method apply, but the two parameters, first name as string and last name as string. com.test.project.person is the object person. You just specify this. And so your class is highlighted with the brown color, thick brown, and your companion object is highlighted in different colors. You can identify that as well. Okay. So this will also, you are able to create the objects now, right? So if I want to execute and see this, again I need to write any println and all that stuff, but I'll simply execute for it. It will not print anything, of course. So if it gets compiled properly, that's enough. Okay. So so that is the one advantage with your case class.
Can you go up? You have both companion and case class in a single program.
Yeah, you can have any number of classes, right? But the companion object is different name, right? Person2 is class and person2 is companion object, and person as a case class.
Okay.
If you guys are getting confused, I'll change this to employee case class, and I'll change this to employee. Okay. So either ways, you can achieve this functionality. That is what my intention of this example. Okay. So one, I defined a person2 class and person2 companion object with apply method. There also I achieved the same functionality. And another thing is I created an employee case class, and using that employee case class also, without having a new operator, I created the objects.
Yep.
Okay. So that is the advantage with your case classes. And if you see the internals of it, so case classes are nothing but similar to your Java Beans or Pojos for Raj. So if you try to run this and see the get in your Scala shell, because you can't run that in Eclipse, right? You'll not get that in Eclipse. Okay, anyway, already created here. Now, if you try to see what it generates behind the scenes, you can see equivalent method, Java P requirement failed. Shall I reply quickly? One crashing the session. Okay. So I set up this in my friend's laptop. I don't. Okay. So I define a case class, Java P. You can see the class name is something wrong with this setup bar. It's -C only. Disassembled code. This is not working in this, I think. Yeah, anyway, let's not worry about this. Yeah. So what it internally does behind the scenes is same. Whatever you are doing manually here, so defining one class and writing its companion object and defining its apply methods. So all that stuff your case class does for you. And any case class will be just one line of code. That's it. If you can have any number of, or any is not a good count here in this moment, case classes can accept up to 22 parameters. Beyond that, how we can achieve that, we'll see in Spark SQL. I'll show you directly one real-time example and how we overcome that limitation. Because of case classes having this maximum 22 parameters limit, you will see the same limitation for tuples in collections as well, because tuples also use the same case class concept, or they use case classes internally. So they are also limited by the 22 values for a tuple. And beyond that, you'll see the limit there, issue there. And the same case, we use these case classes a lot in Spark SQL. And that's the reason, so why I'm stressing its importance. This is as good as like your table creation statement, okay? So in other words, you read this like a create table person, this column name string, this column name string, this column name int. And in Scala, its equivalent one is case class person and the column names and their data types. And what if table reaches beyond 22 columns? That's an issue. We'll see how we can solve that directly in Spark SQL. And by default, if you don't specify anything for the constructor parameters in the case class, they are vals, unlike your regular class. So in your regular class, if you don't specify val or var, there won't be any getters and setter methods, right? If you guys still remember that. But here for case class, by default, the parameters are val. That means all the getter methods will be available on this. If you need setter methods also on them, once an object is created, again, if you want to change, you created a Ram Krishna object, but instead of Ram, you want to change it to Rama. Okay, another A added at the end. So if you want that editability, mutability on the object, you can declare your case class person with var attributes for whichever fields you need mutability. I hope you guys are catching up and you still remember the primary constructor concept. Okay. So case classes can be pattern matched as well. So you can compare one case class object with another case class object as like an integer, as like any numbers, right? So generally, otherwise you have to write a equals method and call the equals method if it is a Java. If you have to compare two objects, it's not that easy that you have to write a equals method and see each field by field whether they all are equal inside that or not. But comparing case class objects is very simple. Let's say if you have case class person with just one attribute name, and I defined object A, person 2 of Shiva, and object B, person 2 of Ram. So I am writing my case class switch case. Okay, this case is different. I mean, again, so this is a switch case statement. So inside your switch case statement, it's a defined function of P person 2. If P matches person 2 of Shiva, then println it's Shiva. If P matches person 2 of Ram, then print Ram. Otherwise, println of default. So there is not much logic here. In my example, what I am trying to show is same like your numbers or strings. You can compare your case class objects very flexibly, even in your switch case statement. Pattern matching. And by default, along with the apply method, case classes automatically define hash code and equals methods also. Because they define equals method, you are able to achieve this, the comparison, or the case classes being matched in a switch case statement. Okay, if you are coming from Java background, then you'll understand this too. Otherwise, you just know the features of it. Because of its apply method, you don't need to have a new operator. Because of its equals method, your comparisons become a bit easy.
Hey, Shiva.
Yes, Raj.
So basically, the case class actually implements the comparable interface in the background. You don't need to explicitly provide the comparable interface.
We don't need to provide anything. Yep. That takes care of implementing the comparable interface and the compare to method. So, and it provides that equals method implementation as well.
Okay. Thanks, Shiva.
Yep. So, and by default, if you don't specify where for your case class parameters, the setters will not be generated. But if you specify them, even the setters will also get generated. Okay. Those are the 2 points, the 2 advantages with case classes. One is, by default, it defines apply method, because of which you don't need a new parameter, new operator at the time of object creation. And second thing is that equals method, so that you can compare your companion objects so easily, even in a switch case statements. Okay, is this clear?
Yes, Shiva.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, so if that's the case, then let me move on to the next topic. So next topic is a traits. Traits, in simple words, if I have to compare with your Java functionality, same as your interfaces with one slight difference. Okay, or if I don't have to compare with your Java concepts, if I have to explain you what is mean by interfaces and or what is the need of them. Okay, so if you know, for example, if I want to, I know a kind of operations that can perform on a set of classes, on a set of objects, but that method will differ class type to class type. Okay, maybe the definition might be little bit confusing for you guys. I will take an example. Okay, so I have, let's say I have a circle. Okay, the same case again, or even yeah, let's take the our regular example only, so that we were talking about. So let's take car. Okay, so it can also move, and let's take a ship. This is another object. This is another class, and let's take plane. And all move. Okay. Now, so there is a parent class that you can declare as a vehicle, and you can put your implementation inside this move. Inside this move, you'll simply write this can move. Okay, that's it. So, but there is no clarity in this. Okay, that anyway will get to know that by looking at the name of the method or some or the other way, but you're not giving any clarity on this. So when you don't know whether it moves on a land, whether it moves on a water, whether it flies on air, so even though you have this implementation, you're not giving any added value. Okay, so in that case, if you feel like, so anyway, since I'm not giving any value, so why should I define this? I simply provide my method name here, and even though I give my method implementation and move, everyone has to override this method, and they have to give their own value to that. Correct? So this guy has to override that method and write I can only move on land, and this guy again has to extend this vehicle, and again he has to explain that I can move only on water and I can move only on air. So instead of that, so you can simply specify just the method name, but don't specify its implementation. Okay. Now, if whoever wants to use this, so if they want to make use of other features of here, this, so other attributes are there, like so var ID and def race or something. Okay, so you can just define the method names and the attributes in a one block or one component. Okay, and you can make use of that component when writing class car. Okay, so I'm not giving that keyword. Uses, let me give uses vehicle for now. Okay, uses is not the keyword. don't remember that. Okay. So class car belongs to a vehicle type. So here move method, you are again redefining. Inside this you will write println of I can move on only on land. Okay. So this way, wherever you are not sure of implementation, you can simply declare a component with just specifying the attributes and method names, but without method implementation, method body. So I don't have this equal to after this braces. So if I don't have this, I don't have implementation for this method. I don't have body for that method. So that is just a signature or the just declaration of that method. So if you just declare a method inside a component, then you can, if you have all of your methods just declared but not implemented, we call that as interface in Java. Okay, in Java we call this as interface. I have two methods, raise and move, but no body defined for them. But the same thing you call in Scala as trait. But the difference is, if you know for one method, which is, or for most of the vehicles, that might be same, but only few methods needs to override. And in that case, if you want to give the definition in the trait itself, yes, you can give it. Println, I can participate in races. Okay, all these vehicles can participate in races. There is no difference for them. If that's the case, I can provide my implementation in the trait itself. Okay, but for you, Raj, treat traits like interfaces only, but you can have a default implementation for any method inside them. So that means it's equivalent to an abstract class, but it is not an abstract class. It is not a class because it cannot create it cannot have a constructor. This is like a interface. Interfaces cannot have constructors, whereas the same behavior if you want to achieve in Java. So instead of writing an interface, you have to write an abstract class vehicle, and inside that you define this method without any implementation, and you declare you define this method with implementation. Then that class, if there is at least one method without implementation, then that class is called as abstract class, both in Java and as well as Scala also. Okay, but the difference between Scala abstract classes and Java abstract classes is that you don't need that abstract keyword. Now, the functionality looks very similar for you guys. Let me complete all this discussion. Until then, there will be a slight confusion for you. Okay. So if I call this same functionality class vehicle and ID and raise and move, there is nothing difference here. This is just a trait and this is class. So only the keyword is different. if I use this, this is like your Java interface having a default implementation for some of the methods. Okay, and this one also same default implementation for some of the methods and some methods undefined. And in this case, we call this as abstract class. So even though we have abstract classes in Scala, as per Scala community developers recommendations, you are not recommended to go with abstract classes in Scala, because you are getting the same feature in the trait itself. Just with your traits behavior, you are getting both the default implementation for some methods and no implementation defined for few methods. So since you can achieve the same behavior of your abstract classes and as well as interfaces with the same traits in Java in Scala, so you are recommended to use only traits over using the abstract classes in Scala. But still, abstract classes are available in Scala also, but not much recommended to use. Yes, Nehali.
Yeah, what is then? I mean, we don't really need to even use them. We can only go for trait all the time. Because if there is no difference and if Scala is supporting trait, then why do we have that?
Difference. Yeah, there is a small difference, like interfaces in Java cannot have constructors because that is an interface, cannot have constructors. But abstract class can have constructors.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, abstract.
Very minor difference. Okay, but it will because of this. I don't recommend you guys to go with abstract classes. You can achieve that some or the other way or the same nature, but always recommended is to go with traits only. But I should not be saying that there is no difference at all. That's the reason I'm just saying.
But the difference is it's very minute, so it hardly matters, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So if you declare this as an abstract class, this can take some parameters. That's it. The same var ID, it can take here, but you can't take here because this does not have a constructor. You can't declare this var ID int in the constructor, but you can declare that inside your trait very well. So the same var ID, if I don't want to maintain inside, I can just define inside the here.
Shiva, if that's the case, what's the difference between tweets and the class? Like tweets also having one or two implementation methods, right?
Traits. So I mean, that's the only difference. Like trait will not have a constructor and abstract class will have constructor. That's the only difference. You got it, right? I can't give here parameters. This parenthesis I can't give in trait.
No, I'm not talking about the abstract class. I'm talking about
so your regular classes.
Correct,
your regular class. You're talking about your regular classes.
Yeah. Can you?
Regular classes.
Sorry.
Okay. So yeah, let's go to here and let's create a class. Okay. So let me create another.
Is it a valid question?
Yeah, that's a valid question.
Okay, then you can.
Okay. the trait. So here, your question is like, so class vehicle. No. So I don't want to any constructor parameters. Just let's define var id equal to 0. Let me specify that. Def race. Okay. And inside this, I'll simply specify println racing. Def move. So do you think this is a regular class? Is it a regular class? No. If you don't have a method declaration, method implementation for at least one method, that class will become abstract class. If you have println equal to move, then this is like a regular class.
Okay.
Now it is a regular class. But if I don't have this, this is an abstract class. The difference is your abstract classes cannot be instantiated both in Java and Scala. If you try to do that, so it throws, now you can see here that your val v1 equal to new vehicle of ideally we should not be able to create. Is it pointing to somewhere else, the classes? Okay, let me try. Where ID, which is of int. And on this v1 dot yeah. Now there is an error message saying that. So class vehicle then needs to be abstract since method move is not defined. If it is an abstract class, then I should I cannot instantiate that. Why is it? Is my Eclipse enforcing this? Ideally, we don't need to specify use that. Abstract keyword is not mandatory. So the Scala has abstract classes. One second. Abstract classes in Java can accept abstract, and Scala no need of abstract keyword prefixed for abstract methods in abstract class. You cannot instantiate. Okay. We can extend only. Okay. Yeah. Abstract keyword is optional in front of your methods, but in front of your class, the keyword is mandatory. Otherwise, it's not. It didn't throw me the compile time error, but it threw me a runtime error. When I saved it, it didn't raise any issues, right? When I was running, it was throwing me an error message. So, if this is Java, you have to write abstract just in front of your method also. But in Scala, you don't need to write abstract in front of this. And if you have at least one method without implementation, then this saying that class vehicle pen needs to be abstract since method move is not defined. So if I make this as abstract, so I can't instantiate that. Class vehicle 10 is abstract, cannot be instantiated, meaning I cannot create object with this. So now the difference between your regular class and abstract class is that in abstract class, at least you will have one method without body, and the class will have abstract keyword. You got that?
Yeah, and the regular class we have to implement for all the methods, and they vary
Exactly.
whatever we define. Okay.
Correct. You have to implement all the methods in the regular class. If at least one method is not implemented, you should declare that class as abstract.
Okay. So at that time it is going to be the abstract class.
Yep.
Okay.
If you declare it as abstract, that is going to be abstract class. Now, comparing this with your trait, you can't have this in trait. Now, you declare this. Let me remove this error message. Since I can't instantiate this, class vehicle 10 needs to be abstract since method is not defined. Okay, this sometimes problem. It creates the problems. We clean the project, even though the saving is not helping it. Okay, yeah. So wherever you see that error messages are not going, even after saving, just try to clean that entire project. Okay, so that means that removes any compiled pieces and recompiles things from beginning. So now comparing it with trait. So trait vehicle, you can't have this var id int trait. So def raise, def move, and I'll have the same println raise. So the only error message it is showing you, traits or objects may not have parameters, both the traits and your objects. And you can't call a new operator even on the traits. See? So trait vehicle is abstract, cannot be instantiated. I mean, don't go by this error message meaning. So this is trait, so it cannot instantiate. You got it right. So you got the difference between regular class and abstract class, correct?
Yeah, sure.
And you got the difference between trait and abstract class. The only difference is not having constructor.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep.
So then you might question me, in abstract class you have one another extra feature, having a constructor parameter also. Then why don't we use just abstract classes and get rid of traits? Right? So when you have both the same features, I'm recommending you to use always traits but not abstract classes. Even though I have one extra feature here. Reason is multiple inheritance is not supported in Java, and since Scala itself is written in Java, we don't have multiple inheritance in Scala as well. what is mean by multiple inheritance? You can't extend more than one class at the same time. Let's say yesterday you have seen a classes, like, right? So yesterday we have seen person, we have seen student, we have seen employee, okay? And so let's say professor. Okay. So professor, I mean, ideally speaking, he is also one of the employee. So if you want to do employee class, because he will also have all the employee natures. And let's assume that employee did not extend the person. And if you want to externally also, let's assume that he extends the student class as well. Okay. I mean, logically, it's not making sense, but yeah, it's not striking anything on my example. So it is not possible. Just take this example technically, don't go by the meaning. So one class cannot extend multiple classes in both in Java and Scala. If you can extend multiple classes, that is called multiple inheritance. To solve that problem, in Java you have interfaces where you just define your method names in the interface, but not implementation. But here we have their counterpart in Scala as traits. If you have a trait employee and a trait student, then this is possible. Professor extending both employee and student, because these two are traits. But syntactically, we use professor extends employee for the second one with trait. And if I have one more thing that I have to extend third trait, okay, again, don't go by the meaning of this class names here. I just made with person. Okay, like class C1 extends trait 1 with 2 with T with T3, like that. So you can extend any number of traits, but if it is a class, only one class.
So in this case, we can always define treats, right? Not regular classes. So this is having more advantage.
That's the reason why I am recommending you guys to always use traits.
Okay.
Than abstract classes.
Abstract class or a regular class?
No, regular classes are anyway needed, because if you don't have regular classes, how will you create objects?
Okay.
Traits cannot, I mean, on traits you can't create objects, correct?
Yeah, okay, got it.
Any common functionality is there, put them in traits. And wherever you want them, in any number of traits, include all those traits inside here while extending that class. This is just one extra line, that's it, right?
Okay, yep.
So indirectly you are achieving that multiple inheritance. But this kind of functionality, having this, this is as good as like in a trait T1, you have a method called move, and trait T2, again you have a method called move, and trait T3, again you have a method called move. let's assume, because those three are different traits, and inside them, unfortunately, all those three move methods have different implementations. That leads to diamond problem. In C++ language, C++ language also supports multiple inheritance. There we see diamond problem occurring, and it has its own ways of resolving. But in Scala, when you are extending more than one trait, and if unfortunately if all the three traits have the same method name, and if you are using that method, if you are calling that method inside your class, you don't know which method will get called. But Scala compiler will pick always that method from the last trait. Is that clear? Making sense? Confused?
You have any sample program for all these concepts,
Yep.
Shiva?
Yep. Let's say I have trait based, okay? Or let me, if I have any other samples, so I'll show you this abstract classes. And even in the abstract, there is, let's say you have this, right? The simple examples I took. So trait vehicle, you declare them, just try them out in the shell directly. So now trait vehicle is defined. Okay. And if you have to override this when you are extending this vehicle, so for defining drive method, since drive already have implementation here, if you want to provide your own definition inside your child class, you have to use override keyword. But for race method, if you want to provide your own implementation inside your class, you don't need an override keyword.
Shiva, are you there?
I think he's cut off from his audio.
Hello?
Hey, Shiva.
Hey, sorry, again, I don't know. Somehow my phone is not getting proper signals here. So it got disconnected once again. Sorry. Yeah, I'll join back. Okay. So this is the class that extending this vehicle trait. And if you are using that drive method, if you use that as it is, don't have any issues. You just use that method as it is. If you want to override that definition, redeclare that method with that override keyword. Same like here, classes inheritance concept that we have seen. This way. And if you don't want to redefine this drive method, and you are fine with whatever the drive implementation given by vehicle, and you will implement only the undefined methods like race, then you go with this option. Like this way also, you can leave this drive method untouched, and you can use the same drive method whatever the trait has given to you. Okay, and there is a little bit advanced concept again on the same trait. Generally, we don't go this level in real time, but these concepts are taken from Java as it is. Like there is an interface, but that interface can be implemented by only a particular set of classes. For example, there is an interface called shape, or there is an interface called area. Okay, and inside that area, you can define this way. So interface in Java interface, let's say called area. Inside this, I have get area and set area, something like that, or some get methods, assume some other things. But so can you call this area on a person dot get area? Does that make sense? No. Area will be applicable only for a particular set of classes that they have some shape. Now, what you can specify is, so this interface area can be used only by classes that implement or that extend shape class. Let's assume there is one another class that have that class name is shape, and only that classes can have this interface implemented. So if you want to achieve the same functionality in Scala as well, so you can define class A and let us say in the shape and trait area extend shape. Now, whoever wants to, let's say, if I define a class circle, extends shape with area. This is allowed. Class circle is extending shape because shape is one class, and also extending the trait area. And unlike your Java, in Scala we don't have implements keyword, both for traits and both for traits and classes. We use the same keyword extends. And if you have more than one trait to specify, obviously you can't specify more than one regular class or one abstract class in this extends, but you can specify more than one trait, or you can specify the combination as well. One abstract class and more than one or more than traits, or one regular class with one or more than traits. If you are specifying that way, so class circle extends shape with area. So now only the circle can provide the method for or implementation for that get area method. Now class, if I declare class person extends area, this will not allow at all. Your program itself, the Scala compiler itself will not allow that. or class employee. There are actually two types in this. Employee extends person. So this employee is extending a person class with area. This is not allowed. If you try this just out, or let me just give the same stuff here.
I'm confused, Shiva, with that extends option. I'm not sure about others.
Yeah, this is a little bit advanced. Even if you don't understand, that's not a big deal. But again, I will try to make it simpler. Okay.
Okay.
So there is a class called shape and trait called area. Okay. And let's not worry about what are the methods inside this, what are the methods in area. So my intention is that if there are any classes that are of child classes for shape, they can extend shape with area. Is it making sense now?
Yes.
Right? Now, what I am trying to specify here is that if there is a class person is already there. Okay, let me declare class person2. So let me define one another class employee extends person2. So now if I have to implement area, I can't do that. Define the class. Oh, okay, I didn't specify the extends there. Okay, my bad. So class shape, trait area, extends shape. So if you specify this, what does this mean by is, this area trait can be used or implemented or extended by only classes that extend shape also. That's the meaning of it. Whichever the classes that extend shape class also, those classes can only implement this area trait. Is that statement clear? If you don't have this extension shape, any class can implement your area. You guys getting it or not?
Yes,
Shiva,
Shiva.
it's okay. It's not that getting it so well, but it's fine. We can go ahead.
Okay, let me make it again. Otherwise, so I'll show you a simple example. That's it. Just go by technically. Okay, just treat this technically. If I'm not taking any logical example, perfect logical example, just take this as technical. So if I have two traits, area and area2. Okay. Now what I am trying to say is, if I have a class employee, class employee extends person, okay, extends person with area2. This is allowing me, but this is not making sense. But if you try to extend this throws an error message. This is also trait, this is also trait. Area is also a trait, and area2 is also a trait. But my employee class cannot implement area interface, but it can implement area2. The only difference is at the time of trait declaration, So in area extends to shape. If any class that extends to shape, those classes only can make use of area. Only classes that extend shape, only those can make use of area. But here, employee class is not extending shape. This is extending person, but trying to make use of area, which is not, here in the second example. Employee is extending person.
In other words, Shiva, if the treats are already extended, we cannot use it. If it's not extended, we can use it again.
No, that is not the conclusion. The problem is, if you have a class circle, which is extending shape, then you can make use of area, right? See, this time it allowed you. The restriction is that if you have a trait with extends, when you want to make use of that trait, you also have to make use of that shape. That's it. You got it?
I'll give up, but I'll try to learn this later.
No. Okay. You take this trait as a trait area and class shape, or you take this as a package. Okay. If anyone wants to use area, they have to use shape also. That's what I am trying to convey here. They can't use person with area because this area is tied to shape.
Okay.
Hey Shiva.
Yes, Raj.
So basically, trait actually interface is providing the functionality, right? So
correct.
Area is providing the functionality for the shape. So circle is a shape, correct. So you can extend the shape with circle and with area, but employee is not basically the shape, so you cannot use the area, right?
Correct.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
I mean, for you, it's no difference, Raj. I mean, I'm trying to explain these guys. So for you, it's the same behavior. We have the same nature in Java also, right?
Yeah, I absolutely got it. This point, no problem at all. Thanks, Shiva.
Yeah, it's the same Java concept.
Yeah.
No difference at all. Okay. Yeah, I think. So whenever you have any extents at the time of trait declaration, so if you want to make use of that trait, you also have to make use of that class as well. But that's the conclusion. Okay. But if class employee extends shape, then it's valid. Exactly, you got it. If class employee, if I can write class employee extends shape with area, that is valid. If employee extends some other class other than shape, it cannot make use of area. This is not possible. If you are using area, always use along with shape, not with any other class.
Okay, yeah, got it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So let me. There is one more bit complex one, but I leave that for your further reading and understanding. I don't want to confuse you guys. Okay. I mean, as I told you, right? This is very bit advanced. Even in Java, mostly 90% of the times, no one uses that. Okay. I mean,
you are absolutely right, Shiva. no one can use like this kind of a typical relationship.
Yeah, no one uses that level. Yep, no one goes that level. And if you guys really, I mean, two techies, you can go there, but I don't recommend it. Okay. So yeah, just read out this summary on this interfaces, Java interfaces versus Scala traits, and Scala traits versus Scala abstracts. Interfaces will not have constructors, and the same is true for traits as well. Traits will also not have constructors, and thus trait declaration does not accept constructor parameters like this. Trait test abstract, val year int var model. This is not possible. You can't pass this constructor parameter. Whereas abstract classes in Java can accept constructors, and the same is true in Scala as well. Abstract classes in Scala also accepts the constructor parameter. That's why you can define an abstract classes with constructor parameters. And in Scala, no need of abstract keyword prefixed for abstract methods. In front of methods, you don't need abstract keyword, but in Java, that is mandatory. And you cannot instantiate neither interface, nor trait, nor abstract classes. You can't create object with either of those three. There should be some class which extends trait or which extends abstract class and provide implementation for all the unimplemented methods. Then only you can create object on that. Okay. And since you have default implementations in your traits, this is as good as achieving multiple inheritance. But multiple inheritance also comes with its own problem when you have the same method in all the three different traits. For example, I have this trait base, and I have only one method, OP, def OP, that takes the that just takes the string, that returns a string. Okay. So trait, I have another three different traits. Trait foo extends base, override def OP equal to foo, and trait bar extends base. And all these, one trait extending another trait, no issues. Okay. Base and specifying bar, and trait B is extending base, specifying BR. Now, there is a class that is extending foo and bar. If it extends only foo, no issues. When you call the OP method, it will return foo. Or I have to make it clear for you guys.
Shiva, I think it's getting, so we can either after the class or something like elaborate on it, or we can move ahead, because I think this is getting a blockage for us. So I'm not getting this clear concept, and I think even Dharmesh or Raj, I don't know, one of them, I think even that's it. Do you want to just go ahead with it and leave this topic for the moment?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm almost there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm able to get it. I'm able to follow you, but you can go.
Okay. No, I'm almost done. Like this, if I can spend 2 minutes, I can explain you this topic as well.
Okay.
This is okay.
Yeah.
So this is when you have the same functionality in more than one trait. Let's say I have a trait here. I have trait base. Okay. And trait foo also declared extending base. Why is it just companion trait foo. Is there any class there? Object foo must be defined in the same file found in trait test class. So I think I might be having the same somewhere. Okay, so I already had some another trait. So what I'm trying to do here, just leave out this functionality also. I don't want this one. Def op equal to foo, and I will take out this also. Def op equal to bar. Def op equal to bs. Extends foo 2. It does not conform to project. Okay, I'll adjust exam test them quickly in the shell directly instead of looking out on them. Yeah, so I declared all the 3 traits, and if I try to write my class A extends this, okay. Now, if I create an object on this, .op, it's returning me foo. There is nothing surprising in that. Okay, if I declare this with foo and bar, so class A extends foo bar. This can be resolved by declaring an override in class A. Method op in trait foo2 of type string and method op in trait bar of type strings. They have the same method names. In that case, if you have the same method names, you have to put that common functionality in another base trait. Don't know how many guys getting it. So this all problems comes with multiple inheritance. When you are extending more than one foo with bar, if they both have the same method name, then it throws error message saying that they both have the same, and you are trying to extend this both, but I don't know which one to extend. If that is the case, so it is Scala is recommending you to put this common function in another base trait. We call that trait base, and inside that put that method or anything, any value, and you extend that. And if you give override, now if I define these 3 traits, the method op overrides. Okay, I didn't give this extends. I didn't give the extends there. And now if I try to create class A, extends to with bar, it allows me. So if I have to summarize this, whenever you are going for multiple inheritance indirectly through traits, which means if you want to implement the 2 traits at a time, trait T1 and T2, unfortunately you have the same method name in both of them, then what you should do is that common method, you put it in a one parent trait, and in your T1 and T2 extend that parent trait, then any class can extend both of your traits. So earlier when I didn't have that OP in a base class, it didn't allow me to what's that? It didn't allow me to extend both the traits at the same time. Correct? Now when I declared a base trait with that same method and redeclared the 2 traits foo2 and bar, extending that base, then I am making use of both the traits at the same time, even though they both have the same method name inside that. And now the next question you will get is, if I have the same method name in them, if I call that method, so which method will get executed? Obviously the later part, whichever you specify at the end, that will get executed. Okay, I hope.
Shiva?
Yeah.
So Java cannot able to differentiate this ambiguity, but Scala has an ability to differentiate this method ambiguity, right?
Correct. Yep. You can't achieve this functionality in Java, but you can achieve this in Scala.
Yeah, absolutely right. Thanks.
Yep. Again, guys, I mean, don't take that as too complex. I'm just trying to help you guys right away that if you guys, anyone is interested into true depth also, even though you don't use them in your, most of the times, I mean, as many of you guys know that, since in any subject, there will be 100 topics, but you will not be using all the 100 topics. But since we are learning, in the learning phase, we should not skip them. I'm just trying to cover till whatever depth we can go. Okay.
Shiva, have you used all these things in your professional career? Like, have you been
No.
using? Never. Okay.
No, that's what I'm telling. No? So even I told you, right? Extending another class or something. Even in Java, we have the features, but I have never used even in Java.
Okay.
And the same case with Scala as well. Just
so
maybe
before you
who knows,
start the
right?
topic, before you start the topic, make it very clear that this is not going to be used, or this is going to be used.
Yeah,
So,
I made it clear.
Thank you.
This is advanced concept. Even if you don't guys understand, don't worry. I told that statement. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
So let me jump on to new topic that gives some refreshment for you. Exceptions.
Thank you.
Okay. So exceptions, I don't want to elaborate much on this. So if I know there are some guys from non-Java background, but I'll try to make it very simple, just taking the live direct example. Okay. So exceptions are something that in any piece of code, any line of your code that is causing an error message or some error it got. It's not able to complete that statement execution successfully. It got compiled properly, but at the time of running, something happened to get it successfully run. In that case, it can throw an error message. So that error messages, we call them as exceptions. So for throwing that exception messages, so if you know that a particular method can throw these kind of exceptions, you can just specify before your method definition. So this may throw these kind of exceptions. But even if you don't specify, that's okay most of the times. But whatever the pieces of code that you suspect that it may throw this kind of exception, you have to put them in a try block. Okay. So try executing these statements if you can. If there is any exception, catch those exceptions in the catch block. Okay. If there is no exception, then there is nothing to catch. Then directly go to finally after executing try. And after that, anything is there that will get executed after finally. Same like your Java, try, catch, finally blocks. Whatever the lines of Scala code that you suspect that it may throw an error message, that you put inside your try block. Generally, the exceptions would be like when you are reading a file not found exception, or if you are accessing an array, if that array is having only 10 elements, if you are trying to access the 15th element, then that throws array index out of bounds exception. And there are scenarios like there is a string with empty value, but you are trying to calculate some length or trying to compare with some other string with that null string, you will get null pointer exceptions. And if you have some string value converting to integer, that is string hello is there. If you want to convert that into integer, the number format exceptions. And similarly, if something is not able to connect, then you will get connection exception, all these things. Okay. And usage of exceptions obviously comes with experience. For beginners, most of the times, whatever the exceptions that I listed down here. So if you have any such kind of operations inside your program, you can put them in a try block. You can put them in the try block. So all the lines inside that try block will get executed as usual. If something goes wrong, then only the catch block will get executed for them. For example, this is an example for both Java, both for your Scala exceptions and as well as reading any content from a file. Okay, so writing file contents, I leave up to you to do a Google research, but already the simple code is there here. So if you have to read any file in Scala, we have Scala IO source package. In this source class, you can specify the file path, source.from file, and this is the arrow syntax that can assign. This returns actually a list of lines, and for every line is for loop. Okay, so every line in this, you're specifying the path of the file here, and this gets all the lines as a list, and I'm looping through that lines, and I'm just printing those lines here. Okay, so but when you are reading a file, there are some kind of exceptions that may occur. The file may not present there, and reading some access is not there. File is present, but you don't have access. Then you may get another IO exception. Okay, but all these classes will have a class called superclass called exception, and any kind of exception that you get, that is a subclass of that superclass exception. And unlike your Java, you will have only one catch block, and inside that you'll specify with the help of case statements. The help of case statements, ideally you should be specifying this way. There, if you are not sure, okay. Unlike your Java catch blocks, in Java you will have for each exception, you will have a separate catch block. But in Scala, you will have only one catch block, and inside that catch block itself, you'll specify all your exceptions. But here in specifying the order, you have to make sure that the more specific exception comes always at the top. Because if any of these exceptions get satisfied at the top, that will get executed. As you know, in the switch case statements, whichever the first case statement that gets matched, that will get executed, and that will execute that case statement and will come out of that. So next of this, so it can hello.
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 Your audio is gone, Shiva.
Is it back now?
Yeah, it's back.
Hey, yes, I'm extremely sorry for all these kind of technical issues. Yeah, I'm promising that today is that last for these technical issues. Mostly if I go reach Hyderabad, I have a good internet speed, and I'll bring back my laptop back to my state, so that I don't need to really depend on phone signal and some other laptop and software dependencies and all others. Okay. Yeah, I'm hoping that at least yeah, from next week onwards, I'll not have this kind of distractions. Okay. So you guys can see my.
Your screen is not clear, Shiva.
Not clear.
Yeah, I don't see anything here. I mean, it's like a dot.
Okay, maybe it might take a few seconds to get it clear. Maybe the net speed is a bit low.
I don't think so. It's the screen itself is fully
Blurred.
yeah. I think yeah, it takes some time to come back, I think.
Yeah, I stopped screen sharing and shared it again.
Still same, Shiva.
Still same. Okay, I think it got tired. It's already 2 hours, right?
I think it got confused because of traits. That's why
Because of
traits.
case. Oh. uh, let me see. Yeah, let's see for a minute or so. If
Do you
I
want
hope
to
it
relog in
will.
the Zoom meeting? How about we just relog in?
It's coming back.
No, no. I think
little-
it's my bad. My internet speed might be a bit lower end, and that is causing the problem. Even if you guys rejoin, that will not help. Just let me wait for a few seconds if it can. Is it getting better or the same? Blurred?
It looks same, Shiva. Yeah, I think now it looks better.
Yeah, now it's better.
Okay.
I think it's coming and going. I don't know why.
Okay. Yeah, but there are. I mean, I think you might have seen this program. I want you to visualize.
Oh, I thought you write program in a Scala for this kind of a screen resolution.
No. Okay.
Where's your friend Praveen today? He will write it down, I think.
Oh, what is it, Snehali?
Where's your friend Praveen? He should write it. Come on, Praveen, get up now.
Yeah. Get it, this guy.
I'm here.
I can see that.
Okay.
Be quiet.
Okay. Is it getting better now?
No, Shiva.
No, Shiva,
No?
coming and going. I don't think it's.
It's
Yeah,
fine
not
now. At this
better.
moment, it's good.
Yeah.
Okay. So I executed this program. So in the successful case, it executed all the statements in try block, and it didn't execute anything inside your catch block, but it executed the finally block. Okay, same like your Java behavior. And anything after that, if you have, finally, even that will also get executed. Println of after finally. Okay, if I have this, even that after finally should I think it didn't get compiled because of errors in the other test trait. Okay, so that has gone. Okay, so now you can see all the record 1, record 2, record 3. So in the successful scenario, it printed all the records and it skipped the catch and it printed whatever is there in the finally, and then it executed whatever is there after finally. Okay. In the failure scenario, let's say if I give the file name as myinput2.txt, if there is exception arised, so how will that be like? So it is saying that file not found exception. It got an exception, which is file not found exception. And inside file not found exception, what I am doing, I'm simply printing missing file exception. And after that, it is printing me the finally block. And is there anything after this? Finally, even that getting executed. If you want to kill after case exception, because file itself is not there, if you don't want to go further, so you can put that. So any exit or printing stack trace, all those things. So this, the functioning of try catch block and finally try catch finally blocks is pretty same. Only difference is in Scala you will have within one catch block you can have multiple case statements, and you have to make sure that the more specific exception always comes at the top and the more generic exception always comes at the bottom. Because if I move this exception to the top, because exception is a super class and IO exception is a subclass of this exception, and file not found exception is also one of the IO exception. If I reverse the order of these things, you will never get the file not found exception, because any kind of exception is an exception class only. That the first case itself will get matched and that will get executed and that will come out. I hope you got that.
Yeah, this is clear, Shiva.
Okay.
One question. If I want to connect some database and access the data from the table, how can I do that? So this is file accessing.
This is file accessing. For a database, you need to have a JDBC connection string. Same like your Java JDBC. Either you can use the same Java JDBC connection code like that. That's like a JDBC template will be there. Or I will show you in the Spark SQL with even more simpler way to access your DB tables.
Yes, Spark SQL is fine, Shiva. If I want
using your Scala code itself.
Okay.
Using your Scala code. If you know the JDBC program is the same program, you can write in Scala as well. And I'll try to plan one example for you on that as well. Okay?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's not necessarily the presentation. If you give some program, that would be great.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, I'll arrange that. This is nothing. The only reason I didn't put that is so it's nothing different from JDBC and your Scala DB connection. Same programs we use.
Okay. I have not used any JDBC in Java. So.
Yeah. I'll ask Praveen to give you any example that from Scala. So he will put it there in the drive. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. So if you want to write your own custom exception classes also, it's very simple. Case class custom exception, extending your superclass exception, and make use of that. Whenever exception occurs, you call this new custom exception. Okay, but we don't go that level. Next, the last topic is collections. And this is very important. I mean, I thought of completing this, but if you guys feel like exhausted, I'll stop it. No problem, because it's important. It needs at least half an hour minimum if you guys cooperate. Otherwise, it may take even more longer. You can decide like.
I'm good.
So, okay.
Yeah, I'm good. We can proceed if others are okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Then let me proceed. So, collections is a very important topic, both in Java and as well as Scala. So the reason is you will be processing everything in terms of group of elements. Okay. So what is mean by collection? Collection is nothing but a group of elements. Group of elements. Okay. And these collections, so mainly I'm not giving the complete list from Java. First I'll give a simple list from Java, the concepts, and I'll compare, I'll provide the same in Scala as well. So there is a interface called collection, which is to represent a group of elements. And inside that interface, there are methods like, because since this interface is meant for a group of elements, so generally it can have int size. Let me not worry about all those things. So what is the size of that collection? Okay. Add a method, add an element to that, remove, this kind of basic. So this is interface. Okay, I'm not going much in-depth details, but on high level. Okay. Now, you have some types of some classes that implement these interfaces. Those classes are, just for example, a list and set and map. These three are some popular ones. Okay. Now, in list is nothing but a group of similar data type. Okay, same data type elements, homogeneous elements, meaning a list of string or list of integers or list of any other objects, similar kind of. Okay, and if it is set, it is very similar to your list. Only difference is you will not allow duplicates in that. And map, it is a key value pairs. Okay. And the same way we have in Scala, we have mainly three types: sequences, and set and map. So under sequence, we have this types like list. List is also one kind of sequence collection, because the sequence means it will have an order in the same order which you are processing the elements. But set is a unique list that will be implemented by hash set behind the scene, and it may not guarantee you the order of the elements in which order that you have implemented. And in this list, just give me a second. So you will have a list type under sequence, and set is a unique elements group, and this is a key value pairs. Right? Now, in Scala, you have again, for each of these collections, by default, Scala has two types. One is a mutable version, second one is immutable version. So if you don't specify, by default, the collections in Scala are immutable. Meaning, once you create a collection, you can't add any extra elements to that. You can't remove elements from that. That's a default if you create a list, or if you create a set, if you create a map. And there is another mutable set available, mutable version of all these collections available. Other than these three popular ones, we also have some other collection types, maybe very rarely used, some stack, queue, and tuples. Tuples are the one another popular ones that we'll see. And so there is one collection type that is called option. Option means it may contain, the option acts as a collection that contains 0 or 1 element. So this is also one collection type which can have either 0 elements or 1 element. And under this option collection, you have two subclasses, some and none. Some means you will have 1 element, and none means you will not have any element. Okay? And out of all the collections that are available, there is only one collection that supports the heterogeneous elements, meaning not just the strings in one. You can have the combination of strings, ints, and any other data type. But whereas your list, set, map, or this option, whatever they are, once you declared with one data type, they will accept only that particular data type elements into that. Is that clear, the basic view?
Yes, Shiva.
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay. Yep. Next. So every collection is having two versions or two flavors of it, as I told you. So one is the mutable flavor and second one is immutable. The immutable one will be available in this package and the mutable one will be available in this package.
So
And if
suppose
you don't specify,
so suppose if I say scala.collection._ then would it consider both, or by default take the immutable one?
this itself is a package. Underscore means scala.collection._ means any classes present in that collection will come into, will get imported, but
So
not
in
the
this
package
case-
itself.
So in this case, immutable will have an upper hand over mutable if I say underscore, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. And so by default, if you have to declare your collections, any list, something, just it's very simple only. You'll just, if you want to specify the data type, list of string you can specify, or optionally you can leave that. So val fruit equal to list of apples, oranges, and pears. This is one list. And if you want to create a list of integers, list of 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you want to create empty list, just specify list of empty parenthesis. And if you want to create a two-dimensional list, meaning list of lists, you can specify this way. Okay. And this is a bit of, I'll leave this you for as assignment. Okay. Already too many confusions today. This is one more way of representing the same collection. I leave this for you to understand on your own if you guys are interested. But I don't recommend also to go this syntax.
Perfect. Then let's not go.
Yeah, that's what. I know people's pulse.
Good, Shiva. You're going on the right track.
Can you go up, Shiva, that list of list, two-dimensional?
Yeah. the list of list, you can just specify list of this part. You forget again, just specifying the left side data type. It's again optional, right? I mean, Scala is type in first. So just right side list of. If you want to specify list 100 and list 010.
Yeah, the 1000, do we need to specify separately, or it will take any number?
Here,
Yeah.
you can give any number.
Okay.
This is example for creating a list with lists. Here you created list with strings,
Okay.
list with numbers, list with floats, list with some other object, list with persons I created, right? List of person Dharmesh, comma person Dhruva, person SP.
Yep. Okay.
And you can also put list inside a list.
Okay. Can I combine the list with the string and integer?
Both meaning like list of 1 comma apples.
Yeah.
No, that's what I was telling. List
Like
is
kind
meant
of a
for
structure type. Like structure type.
Yeah, it's not. It's not.
Okay.
That's what I was telling. Other than tuples, all others are homogeneous elements.
Okay.
Supported.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Okay. If you want to have 1 also in that string, you put that 1 in a double quotes, comma oranges.
Okay. Yeah. Got it.
Okay. Now, so any basic operations that you can do on list. So all these are simple ones only. I don't spend much time, but there are 3 methods that are very important. This so frequently used. I'll spend on them majority of the time. Okay, but let me explain you these 3 methods as well. So on any collection, most of all these collections, there will be a common method available head that will return the first element of the collection from left side. Okay, they are left traversal or something, you consider them. So the fruit.head means it returns that first element of this. And fruit.tail means anything after the first element is treated as like a tail. And to check whether a list is empty or not, you can have isEmpty method. Okay. And if you want to concatenate.
In this case, head meaning apple will be the first, right?
Yes. Head meaning apples will be the first. Tail meaning other than apples, all others comes under tail.
Okay.
Okay.
If you want to take the first one, second one, I can get it right.
Yep. So here you just use a for loop on them. Just go through them. Or if you want to check whether this list contains orange, there is a contains method also available.
Yep.
Fruit dot contains of oranges. If that is there, it returns true.
Okay.
Okay.
I cannot take like fruit of 7 if what is there in
no,
this.
not by index. Not by index.
Okay.
Okay. This is not an array, so it will not have that indexing mechanism.
Okay. All right.
You have to iterate them one by one, go and check and then retrieve them.
Okay. All right. Yep.
Okay. So if you want to append any element, okay, let's say you have a val list of 2. I mean var x list of 2, and if you want to add 1 in the beginning, then that will become list of 1, 2. And if you add 0, if you want to add a element, you use this double colon. And this adding can be done only if this is a var. If it is val, you can't add it because this is a mutable list. If you declare this as a var x, or let me show you this, var x equal to the list of 2. And if I try to add x equal to
your
X
screen is
colon.
gone.
Or screen is lost.
Yeah.
Let me reshare them. Is it visible now?
Yeah, it's visible.
Yep.
Okay. So if I add x equal to x colon 2 to this, or already 2 is there. Let me add 3. So colon is not a member of integer. This is so you can't add at the end, but you can prefix to it. See? So you can add at the beginning, but not at the end. And only if it is declared as var x. And by default, it's a immutable one. You are just adding this and assigning this to a new way, or since this is x is a variable, you are achieving that the mutability on this immutable list. Again, if that is confusing, let me put this way. Generally, if you declare a list, it is recommended that you declare it with val and list of 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this is a fixed list now, and you can't add any element to this or append any elements to this. Either prepend or append. This is a immutable list. So if you ideally when you are declaring a list, you should declare that as a val. That is immutable list, the default one. And if you need the mutable behavior, don't just declare that as a var. If you just declare this as a var, you will unnecessarily lead into confusion. Declare it with var, and there is one more flavor of that from the mutable collection, that is list buffer. Instead of list, you import the Scala collection.mutable.list buffer and declare that with var fruits equal to new list buffer. And if you want to add any new element to that, it's just fruits plus equal to, same like your x equal to x plus 1. So you're adding x1 into that existing x, right? And this adds a new element apple to the existing list of elements. And this adds an element banana to the existing list of elements. And this orange also gets added to that. And if you have multiple elements, this is a simple way that you can do. Can try them out. And if you keep on adding the fruits, hello?
We lost your screen.
Your screen is going faded now.
Okay. It got tired.
Okay, I mean, if you have too much of challenges, let's continue later. Shiva.
Okay. So because since we started with it, maybe if we can spend another 10 minutes, I'll be able to complete it. But this is, yeah, and I don't want to leave it in the middle. Otherwise, I would have stopped it in the beginning itself. Is it, I mean, did it come back? Is it
It's
okay now?
coming back, but not that clear.
Okay. Okay.
It's gone.
At
Totally
least
gone.
I hope. Totally gone.
Yep.
Yeah, it's full blur, I think.
Okay. Yeah, you guys decide now then. Yes.
Yeah, we'll do it tomorrow. We'll continue it tomorrow.
Tomorrow there is no class.
Tomorrow there is no class.
No.
Okay, tomorrow class.
Close browser and try. I don't think so. The problem.
I don't think it's problem with the.
Yeah,
display
it's not
set.
problem with the laptop. It's problem with internet speed.
Internet speed, I think. It's not with the display.
Yeah, not with the display. Okay. At least let me complete the list part. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
So the mutable lists, you can add elements, and the mutable version of it, it's present in the mutable.list buffer. Okay. And if you want to add element by element, just plus equal to, you can specify element by element. And if you have some bunch of elements are adding at the same time, you can put all of them in a parenthesis and just add it like. And even for removing, minus equal to. And if you want to remove another list or sequence, we can also call them as a sequence. In the same sequence, this will get deleted from the fruits. If there is another list, if you want to concatenate two lists, you can concatenate them by plus symbol or triple colon or the concatenate method on one of them. And these are some of the methods that will be helpful sometimes. So converting that list to an array or checking in that list whether a particular element is present or not, and getting only the distinct values from the list and dropping an element from that list. Or
Do you have anything on trimming or something?
Anything on?
Trimming.
Trimming.
Yeah,
Trimming is
the most
on string. On string we have trim.
Oh, trim. Okay. No,
Yep.
trimming has left trim and right trims, L trim and all.
Yep. Those are applicable for strings. If it is of list of strings, you have to apply them.
Okay.
Yep. You have to apply them at each element level.
Okay, get you.
Yep. And okay, I think, yeah, let me at least complete the set also. It's the same like your list. You have two flavors, one mutable one and second one is immutable one. Mutable one, you declare with var and that scala.collection.mutable.set, and immutable one, val root scala.collection.immutable.set. And if you don't specify the prefending package, by default it uses the immutable flavor of it. And rest all other functions pretty same as your list. Okay, maps we'll discuss later.
Shiva, can you go a little bit above on your slide for list? I just need to write down something.
I'll give you this PPT, PDF.
Okay.
I don't need to write it. You guys don't need to take any notes during the session. You'll get the video, you'll get the PDF. Just focus on the concept, that's it.
It's clear now, Shiva. If you want to continue, you can. It's going and coming back.
No, again, it may go.
Yeah, okay. Better we'll stop, yep.
Yeah, better we'll stop instead of stopping in the middle.
Yeah.
Only maps is left out. Tuples, that's it. Some examples. Well, anyway, if we can spend another half an hour or so, I'll be able to wrap up the Scala stuff. And let's freshly start with Spark next week. And I might need your help on facilitating one extra session next weekend, because we were missing one session from last week and this week. So mostly that would be Saturday morning around 10 a.m. or 9 a.m. Central.
So we have
Okay.
Friday and Saturday morning, Saturday night, and Sunday.
Saturday evening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. Despite of all these technical issues, being so patient, I appreciate all your efforts.
Sure.
Okay.
Thanks, Shiva. Have a safe flight.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy
Hey
journey.
Shiva, I have some question for you, Shiva.
Questions?
Yeah, I mean, if everyone wants to log off, it's okay. I just have a few doubts that I need to clear before we, before end of the day today.
Okay.
You're okay? Can I ask?
Yep. I'm okay.
Okay, in this collection that you mentioned about the elements, so actually I lost the track when you were explaining the initial collection part regarding the sequence and map. So the initial introduction that you said about collection, could you just recap that part? Because I just completely lost focus there at that moment.
Okay. So under collections, we have mainly three types. The popular ones are like the sequence, map, and set. Under sequence type, we have the list and a linked list, but linked list we never use. This is not so frequently used. Let's not worry about that. So this list you can create this way: list of elements. Okay, list of elements. If you just specify list of elements, this is immutable list. Okay.
Yeah.
And you have to declare it with val as a good practice. If you declare it with var, you will see prepending element, but you will get confused. That's the reason we don't recommend to declare that with var. Okay. Always declare list with val, and list buffer is there, which is a mutable version of it. You can declare that. You have to declare that with var, and you can keep adding elements, removing elements, and concatenating one list.
This can only be of a string type, or we can have numbers also in a list, or we can have doubles,
anything,
or
right? Anything,
and can I have
anything.
mismatch? Can I have a mismatch? Like, can I have an apple, then an alphabet, then a number, like
no.
alphanumeric things?
No. It's a homogeneous, same like arrays.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a homogeneous type.
So this basically what would be a circumstance like a situation where collection would be used? In what sense? Like
every place you'll use collection. Just as an example, your file is nothing but a collection of lines.
Okay.
Right? File is nothing but a collection of lines. Line is nothing but a collection of strings.
Okay.
Correct? Everywhere you
like
use
group. It's basically like a group.
Yep, it's a group.
Okay. So you said there are only three. The main three types are sequence, set, and the map.
Yep.
And
sequence, set, and map. Under sequence, you'll have.
They are the only three.
No, those are main three.
Main three. Okay.
Yep. Just focus on them for now. That's it. That's enough.
Okay.
Hey Shiva.
Okay. Yes, Raj.
So, do we have the list on the set like array list, linked list, hash set, hash map thing in Scala?
Yes. By default, this list means array list only, and kind of linked lists we don't use them, and set means your hash set only. Okay. And tree sets are also available, but you can give them a try. But just for a basic list, you just start using them.
Okay, and performance based, this is the same as the Java, right? We have different.
Same as Java.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Performance wise, same as Java.
Okay. Thanks.
So Shiva, is there a way that you can compare, because me basically being an SQL side, like a database side, can you just correlate this with SQL in the technical SQL language?
In technical SQL language, if I have to compare, list is nothing but a values of a particular column.
Values of particular. Okay.
Column.
Fine. Okay.
And if you say distinct list of that particular column, that is set.
It's like the select distinct that we do.
Yep. If it is select distinct name, then it is set. If it is a select name, that is list.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, I got that now.
Okay. Any other questions?
So basically, this is the one that we'll be frequently using, and
Yep.
And what is the case classes? I don't think that will that be used pretty often.
That is also pretty often.
Very often, right? Those two. Okay.
Very often.
That would, okay.
Yep.
So do you have any reference links or something that we can read? Like the way you have your PDF, it's with examples. So is there any theoretical thing that we can read and just get?
I can give you some Scala cookbook.
Okay.
But that will be too lengthy. If you guys have, yep, as a reference guide, you can check them. But those are like lengthy chapters. You can based on your free time, you can read them.
Or particular topics that you think that this website has this topic much better. So if you can just do that.
So website wise, there is a tutorial point, but it's kind of half baked. I feel like if you are reading a reference document, either go with Scala long .doc, okay, the original Scala site,
Scala
or go by the Scala cookbook, some reference guide.
Okay.
Any other places, I feel like I find it like half-baked ones.
Like tutorial point I've been referring, but that's just to get a couple of syntaxes. Like the theory what we have written is very basic. I don't think even it's like self-explanatory.
Yeah, that is very basic. That's the problem.
I think we're way above there. But yeah, for syntax correction, it's pretty good.
Yep.
Shiva?
Yeah.
Can you show the file input output program as well? Because I think we need to use maximum input outputs with file as well, right?
I have shown you how to read a file, right?
Okay, that's the way.
And I asked you guys to do the output part of it.
Okay.
I already gave that, but I commented that out. But you can try this out. Okay, that's there in the PDF. You just try it out. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you for extending. Thank you very much. Let's meet on.
Have you a safe flight. Bye.
Yeah. Thanks, Nayali.